Hello, it's a great pleasure for me to introduce the University of São Paulo. It started as a faculty of laws in 1827. Later, in 1934, it has been established as a university by merging the 6 existing institutions and creating a new one. Since the beginning of its activities, the university adopted the approach of a research-intensive, internationalized institution. Nowadays, it is a recognized university nationally and internationally, and a Brazilian cultural and scientific heritage. Over the course of its more than 85 years of existence, University of São Paulo has accumulated great achievements, grounding its path in pioneering spirit and permanent commitment of its academic community. Currently, University of São Paulo accounts for 25% of qualified scientific production in Brazil, more than 13% of doctoral degrees, and almost 8% of masters. The quality of our research is recognized by contributions of great social relevance and also throughout the growing interest in partnership by prestigious institutions from 5 continents. The innovative character of our university, distinguished by leading university rankings, reflects the constant pursuit of excellence in all its teaching, research, and social responsibility activities. The 3 missions of universities, which have been present in our university since its origin. Social responsibility occupies a prominent position in University of São Paulo. In a country marked by social inequality, a public state-funded university like ours could not have been acted differently. That is the reason why we integrate social and environmental concerns in our teaching and research activities. It is about strong civic commitment and active citizenship of our students, many of them future leaders of our country. Our social responsibility actions seeks to offer more equality in terms of teaching and research developed at this university. Through multiple actions, we seek establish programs and agencies to give visibility to art and culture, as well to promote changes in the field of social equality, always with the objective of contributing to the development of the country. The higher education is better off when it gives back to the society that's responsible for supporting it. We cannot be sustainable without being socially responsible, especially in terms of procuring adequate funding and making higher education accessible to students of all socio-economic backgrounds.
Social responsibility adds value to teaching and research developed at the University of São Paulo, as well as promoting dialogue with society. It may be complex to clearly measure the products and actions of these activities because they are comprehensive and unified actions, thus interconnecting all areas of university life. As such, the fundamental goal of social responsibility in our university is to provide a higher education of excellence status to the most underserved communities, as well as look for ways to better serve students whose primary education was carried out in public schools. Public schools in São Paulo face numerous hardships related to low budget, lack of resource, location, as well as unprepared staff. The percentage of students coming from public schools has increased 10% in the last 10 years. In order to have around 39% today, University of São Paulo has implemented and adjusted a series of actions in the selection process of its students along the past years. In addition, there is a concern of University of São Paulo with respect to inequality stemming from the ethnic relations in the country. This is why our institution has developed more egalitarian means of admission. Thus, we seek, through multiple actions, establish programs and agencies to give visibility to art and culture, as well as to promote change in the field of social equality, always with the objective of contributing to the development of our country. Our social responsibility actions has the mission of making students and academia to be both aware of the fact that research has the power to reconcile research and a methodological approach with topics and issues of social relevance. It is a credential of excellence because only universities with history and high levels of quality in research and teaching can transmit the knowledge acquired to society. It is the trait that best characterizes the public university's profile in Brazil, understood as institution in the service of the community. To this end, our university has several initiatives that increase cultural and university extension activities, like museum activities, dissemination of expertise and cultural socialization through research, workshops, courses, lectures, symposia, exhibitions, guided tours, as well as artistic presentations. These activities have contributed to the strengthening and diversification of the links between university and society. University of São Paulo also offers an intense programs of concerts, films, and theater performances. These activities not only enrich the participants' repertoire, but also allow discussion and reflections on these art forms in Brazil. We also aim at encouraging artistic creation to stimulate reflection on art and culture, bringing together the whole of the university community. Projeto Nascente, as we say in Portuguese, for example, it is an initiative that is intended to reveal new talents through a competition open to undergraduate and graduate students. In addition to these cultural activities, our university also offers spaces that invites the public to discover how science and technology are present in our lives. We want to promote recognition, appreciation, and preservation of scientific cultural heritage of the University of São Paulo through the relationship between society, culture, science, and technology, ensuring accessibility and environmental sustainability. It is also worth mentioning Bandeira Científica and Scientific Journey university extension projects composed of several areas of knowledge. Students act in interdisciplinary projects, performing care and prevention activities and promotion of healthcare in cities in the interior of the country. To talk about social responsibility is also to encourage and support actions of our university community that encourage solidarity and the promotion and respect for human rights. So we develop programs concerning physical and mental disabilities, programs to enable the elderly to deepen their knowledge in areas of interest, and also programs concerning social identities like social class, gender, ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, and so on. In this short video, we brought several initiatives that show the importance of social responsibility in our university. On the one hand, it is clear the need for continuity of social responsibility activities, bringing to society the teaching and research activities developed at our university. On the other hand, it is essential to maintain projects that focus on promoting dialogue, a dialogue built through science and art in all its expressions.
Hello, I'm Professor Mary Louise McLaws, and I have the pleasure of participating in University Social Responsibility Network's meetings as the UNSW representative. This mini case, Gender Equity in Employment at UNSW Sydney, provides a lesson in how a major public university in Australia formally started to work towards achieving equity amongst its staff. UNSW Sydney commenced as the New South Wales University of Technology on July 1, 1949. Today, UNSW Sydney is an education and research intensive global university, delivering outstanding teaching alongside cutting-edge research. Our 2025 strategy has set our university on a path to deliver academic excellence, as well as a major program built on equity, diversity and inclusion. We are committed to thought leadership, knowledge transfer and serving the greater good. UNSW is a leading public research university located in Sydney's eastern suburbs. With approximately 60,000 students, 20,000 of whom are international, UNSW ranks 43rd in the 2020 QS World University Rankings, 71st in the 2020 Times Higher Education World University Rankings, and 94th in the 2019 Academic Rankings of World Universities. In Australia, despite the fact that the Sex Discrimination Act came into force in 1984, making it illegal to discriminate against women, and while this country scores highly in terms of gender equity in education attainment, the percentage of women in CEO and senior executive positions is still much lower than for men, and the gender pay gap has changed very little in the intervening years. According to Workplace Gender Equity Agency, achieving gender equity is important for the workplace, not only because it's fair and the right thing to do, but because it is also linked to a country's overall economic performance. So with this in mind, how does a large public university go about achieving gender equity? The university recognized that to make what was, after all, a systematic change, it needed to develop a multi-pronged approach. The first and most important step was securing the buy-in and support of the very top levels of the university leadership. We were fortunate that securing this level of buy-in and active support was not difficult. UNSW has a long history of commitment to social responsibility, dating back to the early 1950s when the Colombo Plan was launched. The Colombo Plan was a key regional initiative focused on education and technical capability through the education of young Asian men and women in Australian universities, and UNSW was the first Australian university to participate. To achieve the gender equity goals of the strategy, the Vice-Chancellor established the Division of Equity, Diversity and Inclusion. The division began operating in August 2017. A Deputy Vice-Chancellor was appointed to lead the division, 2 years old, and remains relatively small. Much of the division's work relies on excellent relationship and collaboration with other areas of the university, including our students. The division developed a strategy with 3 areas of focus to achieve equity of access for students of all backgrounds, to provide equity of progression for all staff, to promote equity and diversity in the university community and in the broader society. Programs were developed to work towards achieving each of these focus areas. For gender equity, these included looking at targeting recruitment, addressing the visual representation of women on campus, working to create a safe campus environment, celebrating milestones, creating gender targets and reporting against them regularly, addressing language in official contexts such as on forms. The university and the Equity, Diversity and Inclusion Division developed formal governance structures to provide oversight. The peak governing body for EDI matters is the Equity, Diversity and Inclusion Board, which comprises of leaders from across UNSW, chaired by the Deputy Vice-Chancellor for EDI. Members include the Vice-Chancellor, deans, other senior leaders, members of human resources, diversity champions, student leaders, and EDI officers in each faculty. More informal methods to achieve EDI culture change were also developed and implemented. The EDI division developed a strategic plan and agreed on its targets with the university management. We agreed that we would strive to achieve 40% female staff at associate professor and professor levels by 2025. We also agreed that 50% would be the target for professional staff at HEW 10+. We agreed that 50% would be the target for professional staff, gender balance, at HEW 11+ level. We ensure accountability by asking our faculties and divisions to develop gender plans and targets. Each faculty and each division has an EDI committee that works with the management of the faculty or division to develop EDI strategies and targets. Each faculty and division work with the Division of EDI to select appropriate targets. These targets are reported to the EDI division biannually and the EDI board annually. To achieve our gender equity goals, we ensure accountability through working with the faculties and divisions to set realistic targets for gender equity. The target for 2019 of reaching 32% of female academics at associate professor and professor level will be reached with promotions and appointments made in 2019 that take effect as of the 1st of January 2020. The faculty EDI committees are fully established and meet quarterly. Faculty set and review gender targets to support the council-wide targets. Bronze Award for Athena Scientific Women's Academic Network is a national program to increase women in the STEMs area, with the implementation of an action plan underway. The faculties have identified positions that have been legally approved to recruit female-only staff in faculties with less than 40% women at associate professor and professor levels. UNSW has developed an employee value proposition that supports gender recruitment activities. A 50% female professional staff at HEW 10 and above has been achieved for 2019. UNSW has achieved its target of 50% female professional staff at the end of 2018. Identification of female top talent for development programs such as Karina and Orion have 50% of the participants as female. The Professional Women in Leadership programs and Horizon programs, pilot in 2018 with Level 9 women, continues to support the talent pipeline. Other initiatives included structured career discussions and planning using a framework called My Career. UNSW successfully pilot tested a new parent support program to assist women transitioning out of and back to the workplace after a period of parental leave. An analysis of exit interviews with Level 11 staff will also help to develop retention strategies for senior female professional staff. The importance of sound information on which to make evidence-based decisions cannot be emphasized enough. In 2018, the division tested the campus climate on a range of issues by surveying staff and students. Many people responded that gender equity is experienced as an increasing priority for the university. This is our source of accurate and timely analysis, insight, reports and dashboards based on reliable data. These data are used to identify problems and develop strategies and programs to address the problems identified associated with gender equity targets. We actively grew culture by appointing 5 diversity champions. Each of the areas has a working group whose role is to drive significant culture change around equity, diversity and inclusion at UNSW. The Vice-Chancellor and UNSW senior leadership invited the entire UNSW community to take part in the panel pledge. And so we are seeing the panel pledge come to life across UNSW. Projects that are currently underway that support the division of EDI to achieve gender equity include Science in Australia Gender Equity, otherwise known as SAGE, Athena, SWAN, Unconscious Bias and Inclusion Leadership, Diversity Fest, reviewing UNSW staff and student policies and procedures. Other programs underway include diversity awareness communication projects, diversity champions, respectful behaviour projects, continued benchmarking to drive better practice and more. We ensure UNSW gender equity associated work was supported by our policy framework. New policies are developed where necessary, such as equity, diversity and inclusion policy, flexible work guidelines, sexual misconduct prevention and response policy, representation on UNSW committees and decision-making bodies procedure. We report annually to the Workplace Gender Equity Agency. UNSW consistently reports to the agency, which helps us meet our UNSW Council KPIs regarding gender equity in both academic and professional roles. UNSW participated in SAGE and Athena Swan pilot in Australia. The program aims to address the underrepresentation of women in science, technology, engineering, maths and medicine disciplines. UNSW won a bronze award, the maximum award at the end of the pilot, and is continuing with the program. We work to create a safe environment on campus. The Sexual Misconduct Prevention and Response Strategy provides implementation strategies for prevention, recognizing and reporting and responding to incidences. Finally, the Division of Equity, Diversity and Inclusion regularly reviews its activities against its strategic plan. Implementation plans arising from the staff and student surveys have been developed, and gender equity is one of the areas being further addressed. We hope our mini case on achieving gender equity has provided you with insight into the essential features of the UNSW strategy. This list includes buy-in and leadership, leadership in developing an appropriate culture, data and more data, realistic milestones. Senior leaders report milestones against their KPIs and use multi-pronged strategy, review and update existing policies and procedures, create new policies and procedures, and review the strategy regularly and adjust it and the related programs when needed. Thank you.
The University of Pretoria recognises the importance of promoting social responsibility among its students, staff members and other employees. We are committed to providing an environment where students flourish, succeed and self-actualise. They receive a strong academic tuition in a traditional setting, but in order to be ready for the world of work and business, students need to be technology savvy, have values consistent with those of the University of Pretoria, and understand the importance of building strong communities.
University social responsibility, firstly, is becoming increasingly important in the higher education sector, and this is based on the realization that it's not sufficient to teach our students only about the content of the subjects for which they are studying, but also to become socially responsible and responsive citizens of whatever society they find themselves in. And so the University Social Responsibility Initiative is aimed at giving students those skills that will enable them to cope within communities, assist communities, and also exhibit various levels, I suppose sufficient levels, of social solidarity and caring for other people.
Hybrid learning is therefore integral to ensuring the success of working in communities and demonstrating compassion in real and useful ways.
The hybrid approach to teaching and learning is a combination of teaching and learning in the classroom setting as well as online and also within communities.
Currently, the University of Pretoria, UP, is the only African member of the University Social Responsibility Network, a global network of tertiary institutions committed to growing a caring society.
We offer this freestanding module called Community Project. It's a module that meets the requirements for the accreditation of our degree, which is part of the Washington Accord. And this module basically meets certain graduate attributes as part of the degree, engineering degree and other qualifications in the faculty. We believe in our faculty, EBIT faculty, we are the leaders and pioneers in this particular community project activity because it teaches and equips students for the world of work and for the real world. We develop certain graduate attributes that helps a student to understand real world issues, especially in the world we live in where there are many challenges, both from peace engineering, from climate, sustainability and environment, and the students learn these particular experiences through working with community and working with fellow colleagues.
UP has succeeded in streamlining and coordinating its community engagement efforts. This includes embedding community engagement into the curriculum. This is achieved through voluntary and curricular-related engagement with a specific development focus in communities with whom there is a relationship.
30,000 students at the University of Pretoria were involved in community projects. That's more than half of the students enrolled at the university. For me, it says something very positive about the students at the University of Pretoria, that they care not only about their own development, but of the development of others, because that's what community engagement is about. It's about students inserting themselves in the communities and seeing how they can assist communities.
The students and the communities both benefit from the holistic development approach, where UP integrated resources and expertise. Thus, community service is transformed into community development.
The community engagement process has been systematized significantly so that the values which underpin a community engagement project in education would be more or less the same as the values that underpin a community engagement project in, say, for argument, sociology or engineering. Students get evaluated for their involvement in community engagement initiatives, and in that way then one ensures that it's systematized, that it's embedded, and that students see the full value of what they are doing. And that way then we have ensured that community involvement is taken as seriously as a final examination.
Partnerships are key to this approach, and UP has formed partnerships across a spectrum of sectors. They range from government departments, for instance prisons, non-profit organisations, pre-primary, primary and secondary schools, as well as small and medium street enterprises and residence groups in informal housing settlements. Tertiary institutions taking on large-scale community engagement have to be flexible enough to adapt with societal changes and local dynamics involved in the community. If a university optimizes the community engagement as a practice, it can be transferred back into teaching, learning, and research.
Raising funds for community projects is also a valuable learning process, so one wouldn't want to say that the universities have to all take responsibility for that. Part of the process of students becoming involved in solving real-life problems is to deal with real-life issues such as financial resources. How does one obtain these vital interventions in communities?
At the beginning of the academic year, the students receive an orientation lecture on the module. The diverse groups of students are then assisted to identify appropriate projects, and they are connected with community partners. After completing the project, a supervisor, on-site project leader, or mentor assesses the students and verifies the hours worked. The students then present the outcomes of the project to a lecturer, write a report, and develop a YouTube video on the project.
The JCP module is typically 80 hours time spent in a semester, of which 50% is spent in the field work basically, which is 40 hours. And our students have done a phenomenal number of projects that makes us one of the leaders on a massive scale and helping our students to understand the social challenges that South Africa has.
The community-based project module at UP gives students the opportunity to render a service to the community of their choice. Students have the option of completing the 8-credit, 80-hour module in any one of their undergraduate years of study. The course offers students the opportunity to put their work into practice and teaches students valuable life skills and empowers local communities. The main objectives of the community-based project module are that the service learning project should benefit the relevant section of society and that the students will be exposed to real-life issues. Students develop an awareness of the responsibilities as critical citizens and how they can employ their newly acquired knowledge to the betterment of the community.
We need to understand the realities of society. Hence, we need our students to understand society both from a multicultural, multiracial, and multilinguistic perspective. And hence, it's important for our students to get that experience by working out in the community, but at the same time understanding how to interact with society at large, learning things like time management, people management, and understanding how to deal with complexities out there that will help them in their profession when they go out into the real world of work.
There are so many divisions in our society that we hope that through students' involvement that some of those divides and divisions can in fact be overcome.
The module was an amazing experience for me. It's some of the most useful experience that I got out of my degree. Just the interface with people, the project management aspect of it, and genuinely helping people. I think that was a very big part of it for me.
The JCP module allowed us to assist the community, not just financially, but also with something that gives back to the children. So not only did the community benefit from the project, but we as students also benefited from the project, working together in a very diverse group and making a success of our project.
If you ask me what the value is of the module, I would say that JCP was a practical, interactive and informative module. Most other modules were more theory-based. JCP, however, opened my eyes to the needs of other people who come from a different environment than me. More than any other module in my engineering studies, it taught me teamwork, coordination of schedules and communication, project management, problem identification, real-world problem solving, thinking out of the box, and even gave me insight about other generally disadvantaged communities.
I was given the opportunity to work with a diverse group of people, all having to come to the end goal and accomplish the task. And taking that into my work environment now, it set me up to be able to communicate more effectively and to be a better leader for the diverse group of people that I'm actually working with now.
For a community like this, the project does contribute quite a lot, because when they see that someone reaches out towards them and actually helps them out with something as small as a jungle gym, they appreciate it to the moon and back. It's something that no one else would ever do for them.
I got introduced to the idea of human-centered design. So taking a human-centric approach to solving problems. Understanding that as an engineer, it is not necessarily how technically sound you are. The people aspect of it as well. You know, our projects and our solutions affect real people. So having that and understanding that part of being an engineer was absolutely critical for me.
One thing I really loved about the project was that we all came from different sides of engineering. So we had like electrical and mechanical and all the different sides coming together and using all of our inspirational ideas. We decided to really take hands on this project and really make it something that we are really proud of.
The advantages of the module, I would say firstly, is to get out of your mathematical and your black and white type of thinking and get into an environment where you actually have to think creatively. Sometimes you have to build something with your hands, or you have to get your clothes dirty, and just to break the boundaries with regards to engineering as being this highly intellectual study field, whereas now with the JCP model you get to work with people.
It teaches us that we can't just live for ourselves, we have to live for the community, and it's about being a part of the community that's contributing to South Africa.
Looking back, JCP is the one module that had the largest impact on me as an individual and on the course of my life.
I think we learned a lot and we wouldn't trade anything for this experience.
The module proved to have a positive impact on students in such a way that former students and graduates became mentors or project leaders for new groups of students and assisted in the administration of the module.
As a mentor and a project leader, I learned a lot about managing people, different kinds of people from different backgrounds and cultural ethnicities, and how the different interactions between the people go along. And that was one of the key things that I can take into my workplace where I am today, and where I also have to deal with a lot of different people from different backgrounds, and you have to work as a team, so you have to manage them and ensure that you get to the end goal and accomplish the task.
I learned that every single person has a role in the community. There was a lot of people working behind the scenes on the park. There was like consultants and directors and project managers for the park, so everybody has a very valuable role.
The project management aspect of it, I mean, as a mentor, I got given the opportunity to manage projects and help other students succeed in their projects. So I had the opportunity to understand how a budget works, to understand how to put a project plan together, to understand how to manage teams, different characters, and manage stakeholders, make sure that you deliver a good product.
It's not only what students get out of the community that's important, it's also what they put into the community and how the community can benefit from them.
Popular projects included teaching mathematics and physical sciences at secondary schools, doing renovations, repairing old computers for schools and non-profit organizations, and teaching basic computer skills to community members.
The priority for those students in those projects is to see whether they can assist communities in solving intractable problems, or those problems that seem to be unsolvable.
Some exceptional projects included laying pipes to bring water to a rural community and building a composting machine for a community of people with AIDS who wanted to start a business to support themselves.
My team and I completed our JCP project during the June break of 2007. We renovated a dilapidated preschool building for the Nyeleti Children's Home. We cleaned, painted the walls, fixed broken burglar bars, and made beautiful curtains for all the rooms. We also spent time with their children doing arts and crafts. Thereafter, another friend persuaded me to join them while they were doing their JCP project as well. She was convinced that I would love it, and she was right. Twice a week, we would visit Luberta Children's Home to assist the children with their homework.
From the communities, I learned that there's a massive desire for them to become better. They have a desire to improve themselves and better themselves, and if they only get the opportunity to be able to do that, then they would be most grateful for that. And I think the JCP module provides students with the opportunity to go out into those communities and to give the community people the opportunities to uplift themselves.
From the communities, the one thing that really stood out for me was empathy. I mean, it is so rare to have engineers, and especially now working in the industry, it is very difficult to find empathetic engineers. And it's simply because we've been molded to be technically sound people, to make sure the numbers balance out and the equations balance out. But interfacing with people and actually putting a face to the solution, I think makes it just brings a whole new color to the idea. It brings a whole new, radiance to what we do as engineers.
The module has a number of sustainable community partners, which may also be identified by the students. An advisory committee comprising of members of the communities involved in the module, as well as lecturers, assist with planning and identifying possible projects. Passionate community partners have the opportunity to become mentors for the students. They take ownership and do quality control of the project, which results in even better outcomes.
The importance of this module, it builds communities, it keeps communities together, and it strengthens us as a society and eventually as a nation. It gave us as a school the opportunity to conduct our final matric exam and to have a credible final 2018 exam. Thank you to the JCP group.
And we have done almost 1 million service hours of work in the community out there. And that has resulted in something like more than 6,700 projects in South Africa.
Through the JCP module, I've discovered that I'm passionate about caring for orphaned and vulnerable children. I've managed to arrange a 3-day work week with the company I work for, which enables me to live out my passion by volunteering at Live Village in Lanseria. Based on these stories, it is evident that the JCP module impacted my life in the most profound way.
By the end of the academic year, the module's successes are celebrated with a function to which students and community partners are invited. The University of Pretoria's community-based project module has successfully integrated community service into its teaching, learning, and research to service the intractable, unsolvable needs of society.